We got some good questions here. Let me go and turn on my camera so you can all see my disheveled face, thinking about Oki all the time. Madison area, night.
Oh, there you are.
We're here. I'm here with Peach Neon in the background. We got Kentaro. We got some questions. Sorry to be slowed down, but where? No, it's all right. Right over here. Let's just help them get inside here.
It is a little confusing,
It is. I don't know how to tag to it. Is the only thing.
right? Because
Which video
should you
should I
watch me
watch?
or
Ken or
Maya?
Maya? Watch Kent is fine.
Uh
Um,
oh.
so hello everyone. We're gonna get started. We have a bunch of questions here that came from all of you. Questions from the community. It's really great to kind of just be engaging with all of you. I think all of us are really impressed by the community. We're constantly talking about how cool it is and how friendly it is, and it's really exactly the type of environment we're trying to nurture. So thank you for the community in general, whether you're watching this right now or in the future. We are also going to be recording this for anyone who you want to send it to or you feel like they'll miss out. But for now, we do have a bunch of questions here, so let's just get started. Ask you, Ken. How does the role of the core founding team evolve after the release of Chapter 5 Mints, etc., and kind of the end of knowing the roadmap?
That's a great question. So the big dream and post 5 drop goal with Oki's World is for us to be a bigger production. And what that means is we create the base layer with the first story for that hello, that is coming up.
Hello.
So the question was, what is the core team and their roles post the 5 drops? And yeah, to answer it, we are full production. We're pushing forward, and after this, the big goal is to create it into a serialized format where the creators and the committee of all you Okies, we're creating a launch pad where you own the stories. You have the ability to expand the parallel universes that exist in Oki's world. Julia here is our amazing animator slash creative director. We have John here, who's really leading this project from a technical and many other fronts. You have Mondo, Peach Neon in the background over there, leading it from an audio experience. And between all of us and many others that you can find in the Meet the Team channel, what we're trying to do is ultimately cultivate a community alongside just really great content, alongside inspiring everyone here to be able to independently continue to create content, as well as, sorry, I'm rambling a little bit, but so much is happening. Alongside another thing, which is we're connecting with a lot of, after talking with the community and seeing a lot of the conversations going on, we partnered with 3 different mental health charities also. So involving more meditation, involving more mindfulness, and elements of that, which are core philosophies of Oki's world, and ultimately trying to build something that everyone can find not just utility, but peace of mind and a sense of self over. So hope that answered the question. There's so many billions of other things I could also say, but feel free to ask that another way, or else I'll talk for the whole 30 minutes.
That was awesome. Here's another question. In the NFT space, do you think mint dynamics, mint costs, whitelisting, etc., are driving the outcomes projects want? Should projects innovate more on this front? I.e., how are they selecting folks for whitelisting or deciding or minting costs? Outside of Oki, what's a good day look like for y'all? I asked 2 questions. Sorry, separately. It's in the NFT space. Do you think mint dynamics, mint cost, whitelisting, etc., are driving the outcomes projects want? Should projects innovate more on this front? I'll take this one, if you don't mind. I think that the way that everyone does everything at the beginning of anything new is looking at the person on the left and the right and just kind of copying what they're doing. Because the space moves so fast, it's hard to really think to innovate when there are certain things that are working. But all of these techniques and tactics have their saturation points. NFT marketing as a whole obviously is using very early day internet marketing strategies that we would call black hat nowadays. But it's funny because it's almost encouraged in the space. You want this hype machine, you want something that gets bigger and larger than life. And it's an interesting dichotomy. But as more and more projects start looking for true utility within the utility space, because fine art still has its space as well within NFTs, but specifically within utility projects and things that are trying to give back to the community and leverage the true value of what tokenomics are, where the value is truly held by the community themselves, I think that it will start pushing out some of these strategies. So what we try to do when we're whitelisting people is, you'll notice that we've been a little bit loose with our whitelisting. We're doing it manually, but we're really looking for diehards. So when someone comes in, we've gotten a lot of these types of messages when someone comes in and they can't necessarily drive a lot of signups through Twitter, or they can't necessarily drive a lot of signups through Discord because they just don't have those communities, but they are interested in entering and joining a community. As long as we see that they're there for the same intention we are, which is the concept of creation and value from the community through the community, we'll tend to whitelist them. So I think it just really depends on what type of project you're going. If you're going after like a Bored Apes Yacht Club clone and something that's truly just there for the hype machine, I don't think there's a need for them to necessarily innovate on that front. We got a question here from, let's see, hold on. The AMA channel. We got a question from Terps. Okay, Terps, sounds fire. My question: how did y'all meet the team, and are you adding new team members in the future? How did we meet, Mondo?
We met through a series of awesome events. I met Kent first. Kent, I met through a book project back in 2013, 14. We worked on a art project. It was a illustration of a little boy looking for a specialty, and Kent was the illustrator for that, and I was the music composer for that. And then through Kent, I met pretty much everyone else that's on board. I met John through that, Julia, Milton, gosh, who else? Ryan, who just jumped on. I mean, Tyler. I mean, pretty much everything that I'm connected with, Ken's connected with. And so we actually just, through creativity, and hopefully through creativity, we meet other people like Okie Terps and, everyone else that's been contributing. Juice Baby Boy.
Juicebox Boy.
Juicebox Boys.
You my baby boy, but yeah. Juicebox Boy.
He's our baby boy. Forever our Okie baby boy. And so hopefully through this creativity, we create this catalyst to meet everyone, and everyone who's got these creative, just awesome ideas, and just use this as a platform to help do that and facilitate that.
With both what John said earlier and then what Peach Neon just said right now, I think the core thread is mindfulness alongside creativity.
Yeah.
And being part of that community that embodies both. So unlike all these hype machine projects and NFT projects that are coming out, when we sat down and started really talking about this project, like initially it was, the idea was, how do we create something incredibly meaningful and impactful for everyone? And that meaningfulness and impactfulness, how do we continue it on with the community that we built? So, that's why we built suggestion channels and try to activate everything you guys are suggesting. That's why we built a philosophy channel, because philosophy is core ideologies. And at the end of the day, like, all of us are very chill, fun people, and we strive on just making things. So we hope to just keep making.
adding on to what everybody else has been saying, it's like the greatest part about creation is like the collaborative aspect. Like this community also is like all about like that type of thing. It's like I think something that we all like that drives all of us is like this continuing need for growth, you know, and like I think like by interacting with each other, by learning from each other, like we're all like constantly growing, we're all constantly like, you know, I guess becoming more whole, if you want to put it that way.
Yeah. Yeah, I totally agree with that. I think it's interesting. Let's define, because we had this discussion the other day, let's define what mindfulness means. And to us, mindfulness means self awareness. And if you look at Ogi's story and the way that the story arc moves through chapter 1 through chapter 5, where it starts with naive Ogi leading all the way to what we call the singularity, it very much kind of mirrors a lot of the paths that we've taken amongst ourselves. I mean, in order to be a creative to a certain degree, you have to move against the grain. In order to be an entrepreneur, you have to move against the grain. And it takes a lot of self awareness, hopefully, to grow to a position to be able to take criticisms from friends and colleagues and people who are there to hopefully help you as well. Um, and so I think that those words self awareness and mindfulness, we kind of use it interchangeably. But that's what we really hope here is to ultimately all self-awareness is the ability, or mindfulness is the ability to ask yourself a question in pseudo real time. That's pretty much all it means. So if you're about to do something, you question whether or not that's the intention you actually wanted, or if it's just a habitual thing that's kind of programmed into you. And from our perspective, Oki is the representation of that, and it leads to a point where the story can be expanded on. So this will kind of lead into another question that Sugar had, which is Oki concept is great. I truly love the art. Are you guys planning any type of DAO or stacking rights? I think you mean staking rights. What happens? What will the holder benefits be? Well, so the holder benefits, we'll start there. Actually, let's answer the first two parts of it. We're not planning any DAO. We have elements of a DAO, but we're not a DAO for a reason, because we believe that NFT as an industry, NFT and crypto as an industry, uses a lot of terminology that makes the space a bit confusing. So a DAO is another layer that confuses people. Even people who know what DAOs are don't really know what DAOs are. And it's a kind of consistent theme. So we have elements of a DAO where you're able, and we'll talk about that in the NFT holder benefits. And staking, yes, but not staking necessarily for the purpose of earning crypto or anything like that. Staking in the purpose of gaining more access and utility behind the creator tools and the functions we have. So the member benefits right now are two parts. And the way that we like to talk about it is we're kind of creating Hollywood. The effects of Hollywood, at least. So in Hollywood, what are the two sides? You have creators and you have people who are funding and approving those creations. And within our Oki's World community, we recognize that there are pure consumers, people who don't necessarily want to create, but do want to be involved in the creative process. And on the other side, there are true creators, like we've seen from our art challenge this last week, which is just incredible. I think everyone was really enjoying that. Even if they were just passively observing. So the main member benefits are, on one side, if you're an NFT holder, you have the capacity to actually approve or deny projects that are coming out of the community. And on the other side, if you're a creator, you have different staking benefits, such as holding more NFTs, as well as holding them for longer, because we really want to encourage good behaviors. It's not to say we never want you to sell. Obviously, secondary is a part of any NFT project. But we do want you to actually be a part and engage with the community for as long as possible. And that's why we think it's so interesting that we have a cap membership, that there is only a few thousand of these out in total circulation. Because once you get this NFT, which is essentially your membership access to the creator tools, at that point you have the entire team you're talking to right now, plus all of the back office team that will actually create smart contracts for you and help you with generative art algorithms, where you can take your art and process it through the tech that we've created already. And we think it's incredible. We're providing that to NFT holders for no cost upfront at all. We take a small commission on secondary because our objective is to empower you and create a secondary flywheel. We think that's the long-term value of this community.
So we help you launch your own
NFTs through us.
Keep 100% of the primary.
Yeah.
So, because and just to add to what John said, like it's because we really believe in this space, not for just putting JPEGs on a blockchain, but for expanding, again, like the community as well as all the things that like creativity stands for, and then also the tech and all the other things that come with blockchain. So the creators in general and all the people within our channels and holders rather get to, hopefully we turn everyone into entrepreneurs. Like hopefully we turn anyone into NFT creators. Yeah.
There's
I think we're going to also come up with a bunch of other things on top of that as well that we've been. Mm-hmm.
Also, like in the NFT space, like I mean, there are a lot of, I guess, like artists and creators who are kind of like being like taken advantage of. It's like there's a lot of like just like work for hire type of stuff going on. But like what we're trying to do is like give more of like ownership to like the creations that you actually own. I mean, it's like the whole purpose of NFTs is that sense of ownership, right? But like what we're trying to do is like, instead of just like being it's more than just lip service with us, I guess.
Yeah. Very much so. Okie Terps is asking, I saw something about creating your own versions of the Okie in the future. How would that work? What software would you need? So kind of us elaborating on this a little bit. Essentially, the software that you would need are generative art software, right? So something that you can create multiple layers to essentially build an avatar and or a scene. It doesn't necessarily have to be an avatar. And if we start expanding on what it means to create something randomly on the blockchain, you could start thinking of generative music potentially. You could start thinking of generative video or animation. Because how this would work is that it would start piecing together different blocks, different layers of whatever that final piece is. So the way that we're creating our NFT right now, and I'm sure a lot of you have seen this with other PFP projects, is you create hundreds, if not thousands, of different assets, different properties. So you create hats and t-shirts and jackets and everything else. And then you decide the order of that layer, of those layers. And then you create an algorithm that creates an output, a PNG in our case, of all of those different variations together. And so we would be handing over that, a minting engine, which is the ability to actually create on-chain in real time. And we'd be handing over the smart contracts, which power it all. You could theoretically do this on OpenSea directly. You could go and sell on a secondary market and do your primary mint. But the biggest problem with all of this and what the power and beauty of the community is that we have a built-in group of people who are the launchpad. So the launchpad isn't just the tech or the assistance to go to market, it's the actual marketing. And it's the community where the product, the community, the tech, the creativity, and the sales distribution are all built into the same system and the same tokenomics. And I think that's where the real power is here. Question 3. We have 3,000 members and 10,000 stocks. What will happen with the unminted NFTs in the drop days? Sorry guys if it seems fierce. I really want to know what's your strategy. This is a business in NFT world, by the way, and still new, right? Even Banco Flex can sell all the cows in the herd. I hope you guys know him, the Moo Moo NFT Pink Pink Cow. By the way, Julia's voice, you sound cool, like an agent in MI4.
Why did you do
that?
You want to grab that one, Ken?
Sure, yeah. I don't know the Moo Moo NFT Pink Pink Cow, but maybe you guys do. So what we're basically trying to do is if owners of the first drop have access to different things based on holding the first drop, the second drop, the third, fourth, and fifth drop. I shared the FAQ page because it does detail a lot of these, a lot of the answers to these questions. But from a business perspective, our primary mint is low for a very specific reason, because we want to maintain and build an incredible community. A lot of the biz dev people that or a lot of the biz dev that is happening and the people we're bringing in are all people that align with the creative elements compared to, say, some random influencer that doesn't align with our vision just because they have a bunch of Instagram followers. On top of that, we make money on the secondary market. So because our world is incredibly exclusive to many degrees, and you get access to, the metaphor we keep using is like, imagine if the Marvel universe, you had the commercial licenses to the characters in that universe because you're part of the community and you're able to expand on it, / you have access to us as, to put it in a non-NFT term, a production company that has the team, the processes, the generative tech, or the smart contracts even, to help the community activate their own creativity. Those are all, part of the proprietary reason, like, we keep the membership incredibly small.
I think let's clarify that we're doing a 10K mint release over 3 months in total. So November 30th is the first mint of 5,000, not the full 10,000. The question is,
it's based on 5 drops.
Yeah.
So you don't have access to drop, and the drops are less and less every single time. Like, drop 5 is only 500 NFTs, or that's kind of the number that we're playing with right now. So, and you only have access to certain perks based on that on whether you or not you hold the other drops.
Let's see.
Sorry, John, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
No. That's exactly what I was going to say. Moo Pink. So I think another really important part of this is that there's 2 perspectives that kind of exist within NFT mints. So my background, just quickly, is I come from the ICO world. I was working on a project called FCF. You guys might have seen it. It's another NFT project that's coming around now, but it's a business that's about 8 years old. We bought a football league. It started by us buying a football team in an American pro football league, and we created a fan-controlled football team. And then over time, we realized we needed to actually own the entire league, because it was really kind of weird to have one team controlled by the fans and everyone else being a traditional football team. And over time, we got approached to launch an ICO. This was like the beginning of the hype of all the ICOs. And there was just a very similar phenomenon that's happening now. A very similar phenomenon that happened during Kickstarter's beginning. People got really excited and hyped to go market. So why am I saying all of this? Because there seems to be this notion that if you don't mint out in an hour, it's a failed project. There are some projects that are failures that don't mint out in an hour because they're pure hype machine. And so what happens is the hype machine disappears. But in a utility project that has 5 drops and each drop is spaced with 2 weeks, that has rarity mechanics built in, meaning chapter 1, drop 1, Oki, NFT is 5,000, but chapter 2 is 2,000, and chapter 3 is 1,500, and chapter 4 is 1,000, and chapter 5 is only 500. With all of these different layers built in, and then doubling down on the actual utility of the community itself, the fact that it's a double-sided ecosystem, we don't necessarily have problems of this concept of mint out instantly, because we know that as more utility, more content is created, more production, and as the community actually starts working together to grow this, that it's inevitable that we'll eventually sell out, our 10,000 one, whether it happens on the first day of the last drop or if it happens a year later. To us, it kind of doesn't matter, because really what we're doing is just providing this back to you and seeing what you can do. Keep in mind, everyone, because I forgot, this community is a month old. Like, it hasn't existed for more than 30 days. So the fact that any of you are even in here is impressive to me. And I think that's really what, like, the purpose of this community is let's kind of reset and hopefully bring in other people that into this project, that even though there are people that are looking for quick flips, that's cool. But even Bored Apes Yacht Club didn't hit this stride for 8 months. This all happened over the last 8 months. So we have to be aware that there is a kind of crescendo for things to work, at least the way we're trying to do it.
I think Wavy Dude had some pretty good questions
Yeah.
also that kind of follow up with this for like long-term success in 5 years, your biggest surprise building Oki so far. Outside of Oki, what's a good day look like for y'all? Like that's such a question that's representative of kind of how we want to build our community.
What's a good day look like for you, Wanda?
A good day for me is back and forth with all of you Okies.
Outside of Oki's world, what is it?
Outside of Oki's world, oh man, it's missing Oki's world, wanting to be back into Oki's world because it's really a lot of fun. And I think the biggest fun too is creating things like the billboard that went up for everyone. I mean, I don't know. It's kind of hard to answer because I feel like a lot of my life now is like Oki's world. So it's all I'm ever thinking about now.
Yeah. Like what's really great about like all this too is that, like we all come from different worlds, right? And like Neon, you come from like the world of music, you come from like this, and it's just like we all bring so much of like our own interests and our own like personalities to the table. It's just like for me, like I come from the world of like TV and like animation, and it's just like that's actually how I met Kent. We worked on like a Lisa Ling TV show together. But it's just like it's amazing because like every single time like we're talking to each other, it's like we're talking about like like everything from like philosophy to like T.S. Eliot to like hitting the gym, just like whatever, because it's just like it's just so open, like this community is so open, and like we hope that like all of you, like so far you guys have been incredible, what you shared, of your passions, your creativity, your mindfulness, with all of us. So it's just like, it's amazing, to even have the privilege to like, be with all of you guys.
Yeah, I'd agree with that.
I don't know if I should share this in the philosophy channel, but even our conversation yesterday, talking through the story, and being like, oh, like these are like the philosophical points of T.S. Eliot's Four Quartets. But how do we break that down into Oki? Like this is the way we're talking about this world, just more so than just like, hey, like I'm not going to use Pink House as an example. I'm going to use like, hey, how do we make like a Desperate Wives version of Bored Apes? Or like how do we make we want this to have like heart.
Yeah. There's a very severe level of thoughtfulness. I say severe because we kind of have 2 weeks till the mint. Like we're very conscious of that as well. Now it's actually approaching on about 10 days. But we also want to do things with intention. So it's the balance between the short term, which is making sure that we sustain the community, and the long term, which is making sure the community sustains itself. And the only way that the long term actually works is with the thoughtfulness that Kent and Julia are talking about. I do think like there's many facets to what a good day in our lives look like, but it most likely always includes this community in some capacity. At least for the last month, it's been like that. And I hope that for the foreseeable future, it'll be like that. We do have another question here. What's been your biggest surprise building Oki so far? Who wants to take that one?
I mean, I love the team. Like, I feel like every day is just really freaking fun. I don't know. Every day, it's stressful at times, but it's like we're building a universe. Like Sugar, you're asking about the words. Like we have an alphabet. We have a map of this world that we're gonna show you guys in a little bit. Like down this probably sometime this week. We have like the creatures that exist. It's crazy. Like it's literally a world that Oki and Doki live in, and I don't know. I feel like I'm a part of it. like every part of it just makes sense. It's almost it's less so like because when Julia's coming up with things, when John Mondo, like when everyone's like Tyler, who's not here, but he's helping write the story, like when everyone's like thinking of these things, you're just like, oh my god, like a sun moth, and like because of this, and like the sky whales because of the migratory systems, and they migrate through the jet streams because they're following sky. It all just makes sense. Like we all live in this world that follows the rules of nature, and it's awesome.
Yeah.
So that I would say that's my biggest surprise. It's how cohesive everything is.
My
I
biggest
think my biggest surprise is like when I heard Mondo, you were playing Okie Terps, that song. That was like
Dude,
the
that song is
the
amazing.
freestyle.
Yeah, that was
Yeah.
crazy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that was on our. I was gonna mention that my biggest surprise is how much we can get done in 15 minutes. Because we do these daily 15s, and those 15 minutes end up turning into just like this crazy philosophical creating, and just like it's just so much fun on the spontaneous side of just getting a group of creative people together and then seeing where that goes, and it turns into wildfire creativity, and then it just bounces back and forth, and then John's like running around like yes, it's just like this mad scientist and just like this excitement, and it's just I don't know, it's just obviously it has some downs, but there's way more ups than there are downs.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Definitely.
And those highs are just amazing.
Peaks. Yeah.
Yeah, those peaks.
What?
Like-
Go ahead.
Like the whole thing about like our days outside of Oki's world. I mean, like part of why Oki's world is basically just like our everyday anyways is because Oki's world is just like a bunch of friends who like are really into a bunch of things, coming together to work on, the stuff that they love, and that's why it's like it's not that different from like our everyday lives outside of it, because this is who we are,
Yeah.
We got Fever Dreamer. To expand on what you're saying, Julia. Okay, lame question, but is this your full-time job? It's not a lame question. I think it's a pretty valid question.
It's a very valid question. Julia, you want to start off?
Start off, Julia.
I mean, I do have like full-time jobs outside of this. Like I'm actually still working on the TV show that Ken and I like hooked up on, but like
So crazy that you are.
yeah, I'm still on that. We still have like 3 more episodes to go.
Oh my god.
But like even with that, it's just like this group of people and like this I guess like this message and this mission, is like so important, at least to me, that I feel as if like every single second, that I have that, I can devote to this thing. Yeah.
Okies to the moon. Okie So Kent, I'll let him speak for himself as well, but Kent and Ryan are partners in a very successful CPG company, a consumer packaged good company, and I'll let them introduce it. And this I will kind of answer for everyone else. I don't know if like the idea of a full-time job is a thing. Like we just work so many hours anyway, and days bleed together, and even when you're not working directly on Oki's World, we're kind of all thinking about Oki's World and how to improve it and different ideas and concepts. And
It's not a job.
Yeah, it's not a
life.
job,
Yeah,
exactly.
it's not a job.
It's just our lives kind of in general. And so I think all of us have other things that we're doing outside of Oki's World. But Oki's World is the all-encompassing. Kent likes to say that it's like, the last 15 years of our professional careers, or 10, I don't even know how old we are, professional careers that kind of culminated for us to be able to even do this project in the way that we're doing it.
Seriously, like, because even with each of the drops, like the so I paint murals also alongside the other project, Neuro, which is the company Ryan and I started. But we started Neuro, which is supplements and energy in gum and mint form because we wanted to be approachable for everyone. We wanted health to be approachable for everyone. And then stage 2 was like, okay, how do we make art more approachable for everyone? And murals, and I used to be part of the gallery space, but I was closed off to a bunch of, it basically closed me off to the rest of the world when you're hidden behind 4 walls. So it was like, how do you present this on a public space and have everyone enjoy it? And then all of a sudden with Oki's World, we have access to communities and the internet and everything else. And that's why we're giving so much back to, like, you get to keep commercial rights to the Oki that you mint. And the reason for that is like, okay, well, let's take the idea of public art to the next level. Like, let's create the base universe and, we're going to do and create all these other things on top of it. But let's see what the community can build off it, and let's empower them as much as we possibly can. So I think it's a cool, at least from my perspective, it's a cool evolution. And, with all the people on this project, Ryan, Mondo, John, Julia, like, I've worked with every single Tyler, Pochi. I've worked with every single person on this team in some capacity. And it seems like the perfect just combination based on all their skill sets, their personalities, for us to just be hanging out as friends to create something that's, the quote, go far alone, go farther together. It's the perfect team to go farther together with.
I think,
yeah, like, just to add to that, like, I think you bring up a good point. It's like 15 years of like all of our working professional careers that have like led to the point where, we can set this up in the way that is going to be really successful. So like, Kent and I, we started this company together about 6 years ago called Neuro, and we've met so many amazing, interesting people in the sports world. That's why like we have a celebrity Oki with Apollo and like a bunch of like different celebrities that we've supported in their like creative careers. So like, a bunch of people in the BuzzFeed world, some that are meeting like later tonight, and kind of their involvement in different charities and organizations that they like hold dear to, like whether it's like mental health or like different types of like the Olympic, Paralympic games, where like there's a lot of athletes out there that are world class, but they need a little bit more support in terms of getting like the proper funding. There's just like so many different elements that have come together where we can make these super Okis that can give back to those organizations too, like utilizing like Julia, Ken, and Mondo, and John's like creativity, and like basically creating this world that's like a true platform, which is the most exciting part for me.
I want to address like kind of what Ryan's saying here is, what does it mean that we're creating this platform? So, and what does it mean to be community driven in this way? So I want to try to maybe connect some of these ideas. Let's start at the process before an NFT becomes an NFT. There's an entire creative backlog. And so all of that is the assets that come together to create a piece of something that can be consumed as entertainment or art in that way. So Mondo's music that he's creating, it's available for use to expand in any way you want. So that's what we mean by commercial rights. Like if you wanted to use a normal song, you'd have to pay for it, and sometimes in perpetuity, meaning you have to pay royalties no matter how many times your commercial or video or movie plays. Whereas with Oki's World, you have an entire stack of elements to use, and hopefully some of those assets and elements will come from the community as well. You have base animations and characters from Julia and her animations and illustrations. You have the actual concepts and structures and storylines and all of this world building that's coming from multiple people on the team with what we call the codex. So the codex is the actual encyclopedia and the structure to all of the assets and elements within this world. Then you combine that. There's many, many other assets that we could talk about, but it would take forever. Then you combine that with what Ryan's talking about on the social cause side. Like how, if you wanted to start a project and donate to a charity, how do you do that? It's actually a lot harder to donate as a company to a charity than you'd think it is. Because they don't just take money randomly. Most of the time, there's all of these anti-money laundering laws and things like that, especially reputable ones that are backed by people who are the representative for the cause they care about. So someone who's raising money for artists, like in Life is Beautiful, for example, which is a potential charity we'd be working with, they provide base income to artists so that they could actually live their lives and be artists. And the idea of the starving artist disappears. And what happens, I know this is all kind of pseudo utopian, but what happens in a world where you could remove all of those types of issues and provide people the capacity for creation? And that's how we talk about this project, is pushing on the boundaries of the capacity of creation during our generation. Gen 1 is our case study. It's all of these creatives coming together and presenting you with multiple different types of art, multisensory. Gen 2 comes from all of you guys, where you take all those base elements and turn it into something way, way bigger beyond our scope and belief. So that's another question from Wavy Dude, which is, in say 5 years, what does success look like for Oki? What is the long-term vision here? Kent? Mondo?
Oh,
I mean, I said,
Anybody
Yeah,
whoever
I
wants to
mean,
chime in, yeah.
I think it's just everything you just said. Look, we're building literally the production company of the future. We're literally like what Universal Studios and like Warner Brothers and all. By the way, like I'm gonna do a two-parter on and combine another question that was on here, which is from Juicebox Boy. Can you give us a sneak peek of who else will be joining the Super Oki crew? I think you guys have seen like. The head of marketing for the DC Universe is one of our advisors. Bill Lee is also one of our advisors, and she's Elon's good friend. He's one of the first investors, but he's also an investor in a lot of these incredible projects like Super Plastic, who's now a friend of ours, but Paul Budded started Kid Robot. We're with all these aligning ourselves with all these people. Like, I mean, I'm going to keep going. Like Apollo, Barry Davis, Bassjackers, who just posted about this, Kelsey Darg, who's a huge advocate for mental rights, but also a huge BuzzFeed star. Like, we're connected with all these people for a reason. And we're connected with them because we feel like it aligns with the philosophy of, one, Oki's world as it stands now. But after 5 drops, when we create the story-driven world that we have in our minds, then with the skill sets of our team, we could take this to, say, the Netflix or the Hulu's or any other media source and turn it into something much bigger. And then when we have that, that's part of the process for what we give back to the community, the asset packs, the commercial licenses for the music, everything else that you guys could use to create more and more things without having to be beholden to the traditional mechanisms of a production company. So it's ever expansive.
To add
about democratization, it really is about like giving all of you access to. It's like, of course, like we're building this access right now, and like as Kent and Ryan and John have been saying, it's just like we are leveraging our our friends, our connections, our liaisons like in the world, to help all of you, right? We're trying to democratize like the whole process of the production, in a pipeline. Because it's like it's no longer just like like you have to have like a certain access to this. It's like with social media in general, like with like what YouTube did, or with like what TikTok has done to like turn normal everyday people into stars or whatever. We're trying to like give that type of like tool set, that type of access for normal everyday artists, creators, musicians, to like actually like get their visions made.
All right. How can we help as a community is a great question that is being asked by Wavy Dude again. How can we help as a community? So we have multiple ways that you could help. First of all, we launched our Oki agents, our Oki super agents, and Mondo was the Oki that day. You were watching him juggle. So how can you guys help? You could help with that first and foremost. That would help a lot to start spreading the good word of Oki. And what we're trying to do here, that number one, the message we're trying to spread is that of self-care, self-awareness, and mindfulness through this storyline being presented as Oki's world. And number two, we also believe that you should be able to expand and create and everything we just spoke about. So the way that you can kind of help make sure that that happens and we can be here for the long run is twofold. Number one, make sure you tell all of your friends and family and people that you're comfortable with. We try not to sell NFTs to people who have like zero interaction in the space. We don't want you to be taking grandma's money. We don't feel right about that. Not because we don't have faith in the project, but NFTs is a very specific space with a very specific type of audience, and we really want to nurture that audience. So first and foremost, telling all of the relevant friends and family that could make an impact in this project, and just even bringing them into the community as people to observe the creations that you all make as well and part of the audience. Second would be to join our Oki super agents and go and sticker blast, or whatever it's called, sticker bomb your entire city. I see that little smirk, Kent, because I said sticker blast. Sticker blast, because you to sticker blast, sticker bomb your city, and kind of just add exposure and branding to this project and making it larger than life, because it really is a phenomenon. We know it is, and it will just take some time to do that. I know, Juice Box Boy. I know, always that. And then finally, making sure you come on Mint Day. We might do a pre-sale. We're going to invite all of you, and bringing people along for the ride. And the same as, part one, making sure that we actually get closer to mint out. It doesn't have to be instant at all, but definitely going and preaching about what we're doing here, because we really believe in it. We devote pretty much all day, every day, to making sure that we have a long-term community that feeds itself, that's cyclical on all sides of it.
I think to a lesser point, and even or a lesser degree, but more impactful, would be keep asking questions and keep being curious. Keep being interested in all of us and everyone who's also just being involved in creating and stuff. I think part of what drives me wanting to come back is listening to stories about how people want to see change in the NFT space and want to see better in the community, and just overall hearing about a lot of these stories of people who have some hellness ailments or whatever, and then people just come here to support and stuff. So that, along with the questions, I think is just plenty helpful for the community and just the long-term longevity of this all.
The feedback loop that we get to do, so you understand our production and creation process. All of us have never been, I'll talk for myself, but I do believe this for everyone on this call. None of us have been in a feedback loop this fast. Like, you give us feedback, we implement it. Then you give us more feedback on what we just implemented, and we refine it. And we do it in nearly real time. So the more you engage, the more that you can tell us what we're doing right and wrong, the better we can do our jobs, which is to basically lose our minds inside Oki's world and provide to you all of what we keep thinking, and the vision and the mission day to day. Did anyone have any final questions? We have about 6 minutes left. You can feel free to write it, or if you feel comfortable, unmuting yourself and talking.
I know Oki EDU asked about the story, the lore you can share with the community to help us better understand the world. The journals show bits and pieces into this world.
We're gonna give you guys more ways to decode that journal soon.
Yeah, let's do that.
You'll actually start seeing kind of how the journals unfold through the entire storyline. What was one of the other questions, Kent, that you had?
Oh, that was the one that Oki EDU asked.
Which was what about the journal?
About the lore.
The lore in the journal. I mean, we could talk. We have another 5 minutes. Maybe Julia and Kent, do you guys want to talk about the story and the progression of the story and why we picked this as our mission? I know we spoke about mindfulness and kind of mental health and well-being, but maybe we want to talk more about the lore a little bit.
Yeah. I mean, the original lore was actually based on a video game we were conceptualizing a long time ago, maybe like 5-6 years ago. But it eventually evolved into kind of Siddhartha's. It parallels like Siddhartha's journey to reach nirvana, and instead of I just don't know how much to give away. On top of that, it's a post apocalyptic future where this world has been built on the old technologies of a previous generation that has existed, and Oki lives in this somewhat of a utopia, in his jungle with his best friend Doki. And in this universe, something happens where, like many of us, Oki has to leave the coop and discover himself, and ultimately he becomes. It's his journey to the singularity. There's a lot of underlying metaphors on top of that. So, Julia, for example, brought T.S. Eliot's poem Four Quartets, which talks about basically how do you find yourself in a world of material, when material goods are in front of you to some level, but it's also while it's not a religious text, it's like finding faith when so many things distract you away from it. And for us, it's like finding faith really in yourself more than anything. How do you experience the world and everything the world already has to offer, without comparing yourself to others and it leading to, you being dissatisfied? How do you become whole? It's a lot, how do you find health spiritually? How do you find health? Why the reasons we put mental health and mindfulness into so much of our conversations. I don't want to reveal too much, but there's a lot of
maybe because I know the story. I feel like you just said everything, but I mean, I'm also fine with that. That's a really nice. It's the first time I heard you phrase it that way as well. It's really nice kind of view on what the lore and the story is. It's the general idea, the general message is finding a sense of self, and however that's interpreted for now, because we are revealing it slowly chapter by chapter, so we don't want to tell everything right now, but definitely this kind of concept of how do you find a sense of self and recognize wholeness is oneness without giving away too much of the story. We have a couple more minutes if there's any other last kind of questions you want to sneak in here before we log off.
I have a suggestion.
Let's hear it.
Question for us as a panel. I think since so many people are dedicating this time for being in here for the AMA, I think maybe we should try to, kind of reward everyone for taking the time in here, and maybe that's like even more of a sneak peek, for the people that's in here, just to sort of, give thanks to the people taking the time out of their day to, join in on this.
What would you suggest? You caught me off guard.
Well, it was just being devil's advocate, I guess. But
you guys want to see
if
something,
everyone wants
huh?
stickers packs. We have sticker packs, and when the merch store opens,
you want to do a little sneak peek of some of the Super Okies? Show the people here some of the ones you've been working on.
Yeah.
Maybe share your screen. I think you'll all get a kick out of this. They're really fun. They're really, really fun. I am Super Oki. Sugar, you are Super Oki. We are all Oki.
I'm trying to go live here.
Send me a Super Oki Loki.
Do you guys see my screen?
Not yet. We do see an Oki over here with me.
I wonder if system preferences is letting me share, but
the Oki head. It's the greatest head. Okay.
Oh, there we go.
The hell is that?
Guys, I have to quit Discord and reopen. I'll be back in 1 second.
Okay. We lost Ken. But you're going to get a sneak peek. What is this? This is a guy who... How much did we pay for this Super Oki head? So Kent did a bunch of experiential art installations. So he made this, actually. as crazy as that is. He actually he made like a whale. He put in the LA River. That's beach neon. He made an Oki head on statue. I don't know if you guys saw it the other day. I put it in the chat. Yeah, it's pretty crazy, Sugar. I agree. Yeah, Kent's nuts like that. I'm going to let me see if I can maybe share it just so that we can keep this.
You guys see my screen?
Oh yeah, there's a watch stream. I'm looking at it. Whoo! Who's this?
Oh,
Hold on. You're like zoomed in. Can you zoom out a little bit?
I have no control of how.
Or maybe if you just moved your
zoom in or zoom
finder.
out.
There we go.
There's way more than this. By the way,
Can you?
do you guys see it?
Yeah, but maybe make the window smaller.
I don't know how to do that, to be honest.
Just
Open
open it
instead
in
of a preview. Double click it.
Oh. I have a few more that I haven't uploaded in here. But, oh, the name's right there. Well, anyways.
Cover it with your hand.
Yeah.
Don't look, everyone.
Yeah, don't look at the names.
So let's see some of them.
Oh, are you guys not able to see my screen?
We're looking at your screen, but we're just looking at the folder.
Oh, what the heck? Oh, let me.
Let's try this again.
Do you guys see this?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, there we go. Cheeky Oki's going. There we go.
Yeah.
They've seen Baron. They've seen Base Jackers. Ooh.
Going to the moon.
There's-
Oh,
Okay.
geez.
Okay, that's enough.
I want Sunny. Can you just reserve that for me? Sugar, seems like we have some fans in here. That's enough for now. We have a lot more. We're going to be actually releasing this week a couple of PFPs a day for all of you. We want to share the art more because it's incredible. So keep an eye out this week. And I think that's a good screenshot at all of them. Motherfucker! No! Everyone, thank you so much for coming. This was incredible. Just like the last one. We'll try to do another one next week before we move into the week of the mint. But thank you all so much. We are all Oki.
We're all okay.
Oki blast! Eco! Eco, Okis!